Hey, this is John Carlos, and I'm here with a look at the DC Collectibles action figure of DEADSHOT from the CW's Arrow. Right off the bat, I gotta say, some of the joints on this figure really suck. Like, he's got this mid-torso cut, and it's not really budging. Also, you can see here that the torso is lifted up from the waist, and you can kind of see through the figure's waist right there. That's kind of annoying. Same thing with his legs here. You can see straight through his body to the other side, and I think that's kind of tacky. At least the joints aren't limited by the little holsters that are dangling from their belt. At least they have a decent range of motion. They can't really go back that far, but they can go forward a little bit. I mean, more than a little bit, pretty good, but they can't go back if you wanted them to. Double knee joints are fine, but they're a little tight. There is the boot cut swivel, so that's cool. But the hinge for the ankles, I really like the ankle swivel, but the swivel on the left is really tight. Hopefully if you get one, it isn't as tight as mine. Also, my biggest beef was that, you know, this left shoulder joint's really good. You can see that it's a piece that connects to the shoulder ball, because this shoulder ball doesn't move at all. In fact, the section that's supposed to meet and stay connected to the shoulder ball on this one is really loose. Every time I try to move it, I feel like I'm going to break it off. So I also don't want to use a blow dryer on that, because I think it's just going to loosen this section even more. So I'm going to try dipping this in some hot water and see if that moves the torso and the shoulder joint. But between the shoulder, the torso, and that ankle swivel, I just wish so many of these joints weren't so tight. His head's pretty good though. You have a pretty good turning and tilting, and it does tilt up and down pretty good. Also, he's got the single elbow joint, and he's got a wrist swivel with a hinge that comes in left and right, and this hinge also goes left and right. Now, his actual head sculpt, I think, is pretty interesting, because they attempted to not only like sculpt a hairstyle, but sculpt like a little tuft of it sticking out on the sides there, and I've never really seen that too often in action figures. I've seen that like with Kotobukiya to a certain degree with their like statues, but I think it's, you know, a nice attempt from DC Collectibles to do something a little specific and stylish with their action figures. I think the paint of his like little 5 o'clock shadow looks good. His mouth paint looks good. His eyeball, I mean, pretty much the paint on his face and that scar all look really good. So I think they did a great job with that. His hair in the back looks good. And the paint on his costume looks great. Like his chest armor looks awesome. I like the use of silver paint on the little rivets there. But man, the front, you see the little like little bullets, all this crap kind of attached to it. The different like orange and browns being used, and there's a wash over that to give it kind of like a leathery, dirty look. The belt looks great. Also the little details of like the fabric kind of bunching on his pants and his holster on the side. And the actual like sculpt on the boots, it's fairly simple, but like really kind of believably well sculpted. I think they did a great job with the actual design of this figure. My complaints about articulation aside, sculpt and paint are solid. Now here's a look at some of his accessories. He comes with his rifle, which is pretty well done as far as like the silver and the gray and the black and the little like strap here. There's some nice little details on this thing, so I appreciate that. Even like the butt of the gun in the back. And then he comes with 2 pistols, and they're, you know, basic and pretty well done, and one of them fits into a holster on the side there. One of the weird things is that his right hand has a separation at the index finger so he can grip a gun, but his left hand is just a basic grip hand, so there's no separation for the index. So he can really only properly hold one gun and not both. So that's a little bit of an annoyance. Articulation on the legs is pretty decent, which allows me to get him into some solid poses. While he may not be the best figure in the Arrow line, he's certainly not the worst figure that DC Collectibles has ever made. I'm a big fan of the way they translated DEADSHOT onto the show, and I gotta say that this figure still looks pretty cool despite some of my complaints. I can give this a mild recommendation. Thanks for watching.